We're ready to continue then. Go ahead.
Thank you, Judge. Sir, at the time of the Stangeland home invasion, the time of the kidnapping of Jeff Mueller, you were hurting a little bit financially, correct? You were several months behind on your mortgage.
It wouldn't have benefited had been for Barger at that time.
I thought you had lost your CDL and you weren't able to drive.
Yes,
You
but I
had
had a
lost-
driver that,
And that wasn't working out though, right?
yes,
It was working out? Okay. If you go to page 18 and 19, like your statement on June 28th, 2010, did you indicate at that time that you were significantly behind on your mortgage, you had lost your CDL, and you talked about this person that you had driving a route for you that was not working out?
okay, so well, one thing, the route is a different part that was on the vending machines than on the truck.
Okay.
So there's two different completely employees to begin with.
Which one wasn't working out?
The driver on the route, the vending route, but I was able to take that over myself
Why were you behind on your mortgage?
because it had the semi-truck parked for a couple months before I was able to find a driver for it.
And how was that Billy's fault?
It wasn't.
Okay, so I'll go back to my original question. At the time of the Stangeland home invasion, you were having some difficulty financially, correct?
At that time it was. You're dealing with two completely separate different things before Billy and after Billy came.
Before Billy came in, were you having any trouble financially?
I had it straightened out about the time that Billy came along in June.
After Billy came along?
No, before Billy came along.
Okay, no, but let's go to after Billy came along.
Okay.
You started to have trouble
Okay.
financially then?
Yes,
Was that Billy's fault or was it not Billy's fault?
when he was getting checks out of my mailbox from loads that were delivered and I wasn't receiving them to pay the driver for the truck or make the house payments. Yes, he was beginning to cause problems and I wasn't aware of it at that time until later.
When did you find all that out?
Basically, after all of this had happened, I was still trying to collect some load checks that they told me were already sent in cash for some of these loads. Then when they would send me copies, they disappear out of my mailbox too.
Okay. And you found out about that after you were arrested?
Yes,
How did you know that they disappeared out of your mailbox?
because I found out that the checks had been indeed paid for the load. But, you know, I don't remember the exact particulars on each one, but there was quite a few thousands of dollars on different deliveries that had been made. And I never received the checks on them, but the companies I was hauling for, you know, they'd never shorted me before, so I just basically realized after this had happened that yes, they had sent a check in August, or they had sent that check in July.
Did Billy Barger have a bank account?
Yes,
He did? Okay. In October or November, your pickup truck had broken down, right?
yes,
And you couldn't afford to buy a car. Your dad bought you an Malibu, right?
yes.
So again, I'll go back to my question, in October or November, right before the home invasion and eventually the kidnapping of Jeff Mueller, were you having trouble financially?
Billy was taking my income.
Sir, were you having trouble financially?
Billy was taking my income. So yes, that created a financial problem of mine because he was intercepting it.
Now, let's talk about how much money you guys were going to get from collecting this money from Roy Slates. How much money was Roy owed?
$485,000, best I can remember.
And what was the percentage that the Heart of Net chapter was going to get?
25.
25%. So that's over, obviously, $100,000, right? Well over. But Roy Slates was out more than just that $485,000, right?
Not that I know of.
Not that you know of? He wasn't out millions of dollars?
No.
No?
How could he be?
Okay. Did you go to Cedar Rapids, Iowa to collect money from Waldo Morris?
I was sent there by Billy Barger, but I did not intend on making contact with anybody when I was there.
You didn't intend on making contact with Waldo Morris?
Not physically in person, no.
What was your purpose in going there?
What I was ordered to do,
Yes, but what were you gonna do when you got there?
just exactly what I did. Said where his place was, and this is it.
Why bother to go? Why not just go down the road and stay in a hotel for a night and say you went?
Because I thought I was being followed.
Okay, so you went there, but what was the purpose in going? Was it ultimately to collect
That's
money?
what Barger wanted to happen, yes, to occur, was to go to Cedar Rapids and collect money from Waldo Morris,
Who owed money to whom?
Royce Lewis.
So there was additional money that was owed to Royce Lewis.
Yes, but I don't know. That was between Billy and Roy, as far as I know. I never heard any direct dollars.
You didn't tell the police that Royce Lewis was owed millions of dollars from people?
That's what was said, but I never seen anything on paper or anything like that.
So you believe that you were collecting millions of dollars for Royce Lewis, correct?
I never thought that, no.
That's not what you heard?
That's what Barger said was out there, but I never believed that.
Why didn't you believe it?
Just because his numbers kept bouncing around, different number on a different day or different times of the day, so they were never the same thing more than one time.
Did you believe that one was owed the $485,000?
That's what he said.
And that night in ambulance, when he was telling you about all this money he lost, he told you beyond just the $485,000, didn't he? He told you he had lost a lot of money.
He said he'd lost a lot of money in different places, yes.
Right. So why wouldn't you believe it?
I didn't know, really.
After the kidnapping of Jeff Mueller, were you gonna go kidnap a guy out in California named Art Lackman?
That's what Barger wanted to do.
And he owed Royce Slade some money as well, correct?
Not that I know of. I don't know what all the circumstances were or the details on that. That's what Barger said.
But at least Barger was telling you that there were potentially millions of dollars out there to collect, correct?
Yes.
Now, knowing who Billy Barger is, there's no reason to believe that he would actually give 75% of any money collected back to Royce Slade, right?
I didn't know. Didn't think he'd give any money to anybody.
So you were potentially collecting millions of dollars, is what my question is. As far as you knew, as far as you heard.
Never collected any.
I understand that, but I'm talking about what you believed and what you had heard back before you kidnapped Jeff Mueller.
That's what Barger said, yes.
Millions of dollars. And at that time, for whatever reason, you were hurting financially, were you not?
I wouldn't have been if it hadn't been for Barger.
You talked about how you would break up the percentage when you had some sort of deal with the chapter, correct?
That's what Barger had said.
Right. That 13% would go to the mother chapter, meaning Sonny Barger.
I don't remember exactly how the split up was.
7% would go to your local chapter.
I don't remember exactly.
Does that sound about right?
It's too long ago.
Okay.
I don't remember which was 7, which was 13, which was 5. I don't remember.
Okay. Well, we would be talking about roughly 20% or less going to the chapters.
I don't remember.
What is your memory?
Where's it at?
We'll get to it.
Okay.
But what's your memory of that?
I don't remember that. It's just too long ago.
Whatever the number is, whether it's 13 or 7, the remaining amount would go to the participants, the people who actually.
That's what he said, but I never expected that.
What I'm getting at, sir, is a lot of money out of this millions of dollars was going to go back to you, to Lonnie, to Andy, based on what Billy Barger was telling you, correct?
If it would have came through, like what Billy Barger claimed. But if it was like everything else that he'd already had done, there was no money anywhere.
If you go to page 10 of the January 18th, 2010 transcript. And by the way, how much did you expect to get, or did Billy say that you would get out of Charles Scammell's house?
Nothing that I can remember.
You didn't say 50 or 100,000?
He, whatever the numbers were, I don't remember him saying he'd get any.
Go to page 11 of that same transcript, midway down. So refresh your recollection.
Where you at? Page 11, on the 18th.
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. January 15th.
What, you page 10?
Yes, 11.
Okay, that was Billy Barger saying that he probably had 50 or 100,000. He didn't say that we would get.
Potentially.
That's what Barger had in his head that they had, I guess, stashed in their house.
Okay, so we have 25% of 485, potentially 50 to 100,000 in the Scannell residence, and potentially millions of dollars that is owed to what slates that you guys are going to be collecting, correct? At least this is what's being said.
He's saying it's there.
Judge, can you stop a moment?
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm going to show you page 10. This is of the January 18th statement. And here you talk about how the money is to be divided between the various chapters and the individuals committing, doing the work.
Yeah, this is big plan on the marijuana.
Right. And 83% of what you guys basically could recover would go to you individually. Is that accurate?
No,
What percentage would go to you?
you gotta have the cost of the product. And he was talking all kinds of, I don't know, crazy number. He always tried to make things look like there was a pie in the sky type thing, but nothing ever came through on anything they ever suggested, or it's just a complete goose chase is all it really amounted to.
I'm not disputing in any way that you got scammed by Billy Barger.
Right.
No question about it.
And on this one,
Absolutely, positively, you got scammed by Billy Barger. There's no doubt. But you believe that you were going to get 83%, right? How much did you think you were going to get?
I had no idea.
Sir, you were the person that initiated this entire thing, isn't that true? The home invasion, the kidnapping of Jeff Mueller. You were the person that brought it to Billy Barger's attention.
No, I didn't initiate.
Did you bring it to his attention?
I told him what he had sent me to find out.
Have you not discussed that with Billy Barger? Did Jeff Mueller be kidnapped?
If I had discussed it with Billy Barger, Roy Slates probably would have talked to him directly about it, because Roy and Billy had already been talking before too. They just hadn't talked about this exact details and stuff.
Knowing what you knew about Billy Barger, how bad he was, who he was, since you warned your friend Dale Libby, why wouldn't you say in the bar that night in Memphis, when Royce Wakes is telling you about this, last thing you want to do is let Billy Barger know that.
He already knew Billy. He already had been associated with him for a few months that I know of. But
Why didn't you tell Roy? Make sure you don't tell Billy. Why didn't you?
Roy knew Billy,
What's that?
who he claimed to be. Roy knew Billy and who he claimed to be.
Right. But you actually brought it to his attention. You brought it to Billy's attention. You were the person who did that, correct?
For the details
That's right.
on this transaction, yes. Or on this deal with how Roy lost his money.
So you were the person that initiated this whole sequence of events.
I just told some information. I didn't have anything to do and plan on any of it. I didn't initiate anything. Billy initiated it after he found out.
Okay. But you were the person who brought it to Billy's attention. That's what I'm
I
saying.
told him, yes,
Knowing who Billy was.
yes.
And maybe it's just semantics, just words. I'm saying initiate. You don't want to use that word. What if we say you didn't intentionally initiate this? Is that accurate?
I didn't intentionally try to start anything. I just passed along some, what Roy had told me.
Given what you know about Billy Barger, given that you know, just based on common understanding, that the Hells Angels typically extort money from people, would you say at least that you recklessly initiated this whole thing? Recklessly?
No, he just said he'd just do it over the computer,
You would just do what over the computer?
collect funds.
And how would that work?
That's what he claimed he could do. I don't know how.
You'd have to have an account number to do that, wouldn't you?
I don't know how he could find out things, but he claimed he could. That they could find out anything on anybody.
So your purpose in bringing this to Billy Barger was just that he would commit a garden variety theft from somebody rather than all of this.
I don't know exactly what he's going to do, but that's what he claimed he could do. What he said, I believe, is we have people that know how to do that.
Isn't it true that Billy told you that people like Jeff Mueller and Charles Scannell would have large sums of money in a safe? That people like that couldn't put their money in a bank because they scam people?
I don't remember the exact word, but something on that order, yes.
And if you don't recall, it's on page 11 of your January 14th statement. Given that Billy Barger told you that people who scam people like Jeff Mueller and Charles Scannell do, that they can't use banks, how is it that Billy could possibly do this by transferring money?
But I don't know. Unless they had it in other people's names or accounts, whatever, I don't know.
So you didn't think any violence or threats or anything like that would be used, right?
Not at that time.
You did later, though.
Yeah, after he was forced us to do so.
Don't need, I mean, you're poisoning dogs, you're pointing guns at people, you're shooting people, you're zip tying him, throwing him in the back of the car, driving him halfway across the country. Sounds like violence to me, doesn't it?
But that was after, not during this part here. It just progressively kept getting worse.
I want to get in a little more detail about how you wound up in this club. You would agree with me that with any organized criminal outfit, organization, doesn't matter what we're talking about, Crips, Bloods, Latin Kings, Hells Angels, Pagans, they don't just go and randomly recruit people off the street and force them to join the club, right?
Objection, Your Honor.
Come on.
We'll have the next question.
Sir, you told the police that on January 14th and June 28th, that there basically is one of two ways that you can become a member of the Hells Angels Motorcycle Club. That either you can be a prospect or you can be requested to be an officer in the club.
That's what Margie told me.
Right, those are the two ways.
That's what I was told. But I don't know that for a fact, that's what I was told.
And the way that you became a member was that you were asked to be an actual officer, and in fact, you told Detective Mueller that you were the treasurer of the Heartland chapter of the Hells Angels Motorcycle Club.
That's what he asked me to be.
Right, that's what you were. Or that's what you believed you were.
I never really became anything. I never handled anything. I never had any official signs or patches, whatever. I was a nothing.
You didn't tell Detective Mueller that you were the treasurer?
That's what Barger said. I was
That you
gonna be.
did.
And then he changed that later and said vice president after everybody else had managed to get away from him.
So you were a member, at least according to what you were told.
I was never became a member. That supposedly that part of whatever didn't happen.
But sir, Billy Barger is the be-all, end-all of this Heartland chapter of the Hells Angels Motorcycle Club, right?
Yes,
He requested you to join because, according to you, you were a long-time acquaintance of the family, correct?
yes.
And he then told you that you were a member.
Not that you're not a member until you get patched. And I was never patched. That's what he said. I never became a full patch member, as they called it, or as he called it.
Well, Billy Barger himself wasn't patched, right? You never saw a patch, did
None
you?
that I ever seen. He claimed he was, of course. He claimed he was, but I never seen him.
And you were going to be patched upon completion of this mission, right?
No,
You were not.
no. There was no guarantee of that or anything. There was some silly email that came about at the spring kickoff I would be patched. But that never, when is the spring kickoff? And where is it? It never even said that in the email. It just, no, there never became a member.
So you anticipated, or at least there was an email that you were going to be a patched member at the spring kickoff, right? You just testified to that.
Where and when that would be, I have no idea. But that's an email I received from Chief.
And Billy Barger himself told you that you either were a member or were going to become a member, right? That you were going to be the treasurer and then the vice president.
That's what he said.
Was it your testimony earlier during the rec that you weren't even a prospect for this club?
That just went directly to what he said. I'd either be the treasurer and needed me for my liquor license knowledge, and that I was able to secure a liquor license.
So how would you characterize your association with the club? An anticipated member?
I don't know what to really call it, but I was never a member.
Well, as it turned out, nobody was ever a member, right?
Right.
Deputy Schloop asked you why it was that you allowed Billy Barger to use your master bedroom. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And you told him because Billy Barger was too weak to go up and down the steps.
Where he had I don't remember the exact words, but he made it like it would be a very bad thing if I said no, we couldn't have it.
Who said that? Billy Barger told you that?
What page are you on?
I'm on page 38, January 14th, 2010 transcript.
I'm sorry, I just can't remember exactly. It's just been too long. $38 on 14th.
Yes.
Okay.
It's about 1/3 of the way down. He took over the bedroom, so where it says that?
Yes,
And why did you take over the bedroom? Why did you tell Billy Schloop that he took over his bedroom?
because of the stairs, we needed easier access to the bathroom. And
You don't mention anything about a threat to Deputy Schlup, do you?
You never threatened deputies.
No, you never mentioned to Deputy Schlup that you were threatened, and that's why Billy Barger was using your bedroom, right?
No, I never mentioned it to him.
It would have made sense for you to mention it to him, wouldn't it? Since the whole purpose of that statement was for you to.
This was the 14th, what it says, of January. There was so much going on, and I still didn't even really know at that time if Billy Barger was a fraud. I hadn't really seen any paperwork. All I had is these two guys sitting across the table from me telling me that he was. But, and that they talked to Billy, or not Billy, Sonny's sister, and she's the one that gave them the information. So what they told me at that time didn't even pan out with what they came here and testified.
Well,
How they found out is true. I did.
6 months later, when you talked to Detective Mueller, you knew Billy Barger wasn't going to be claimed to me, right?
Right, yes.
And Detective Mueller asked you the same thing. How it was that Billy came to live in your home, how Billy wound up in your master bedroom. You never said that you were threatened to him, did you?
I don't remember.
And actually, what you said was, you quoted Forrest Gump, stupid is as stupid does. You remember that?
I don't remember exactly
Go to
that.
page 18 of the 6/28/2010 transcript.
I'm sorry, sir, what was your question?
I said, you never told Detective Mueller that you were forced to allow Billy Barger into your house, or that you were forced to let him use your bedroom.
Well, I was forced, simple as simple does.
Right.
Yeah, I said, but I was forced.
Where does it say?
On page 18, the third line up from the bottom. Well, I was forced.
Third line up from the bottom?
Yes.
Read it for me.
Well, I was forced, simple is as simple does. So, but he gets her moved in, and pretty soon her 3 kids are moved in.
You mean where it says, well, as Forrest Gump? Simple is as simple does?
I said, well, I was forced, simple is as simple does.
You don't have the one transcript. Let's see there. Page 18.
That's what's different about this one than that. This says June 28th.
It says June 28th.
Yeah,
Does it
but
say-
it's different.
Well, the
That
actual
one you
table,
got is different there, sir.
I understand. The table control. That is a quote from Forrest Gump, is it not? Simple is as simple does?
I think so. Either that or it's just something you say around home. Stupid is as stupid does.
So you're basically saying you were stupid. Not that I was forced, you were stupid.
I was forced. That's what it said, exactly what my words were there.
Okay.
That's what the transcript's off the recording.
Okay.
And I said I was forced.
You admit that you should have gone to the sheriff, right? When Detective Mueller asked you on page 63 with that transcript? Remember saying that?
Where are you at? I don't remember exactly saying I should have went to the sheriff, but I should have, would have, could have. There's another than lines from home.
Another thing that you told Detective Mueller is that the reason that you were allowed Billy Barger to stay there was because he was going to bail you out. You were behind on your mortgage. You were financially strapped. You couldn't pay your mortgage. And Sonny was going to buy the house from you. And you were going to be able to live there with Derek rent free. That was the arrangement, right?
That's what he claimed would happen.
Right. So there was a
And that's
financial
what-
benefit to you.
No, it was because he was taking my income the way it was.
As you knew it, back at that time, you believed there was a financial benefit to Billy Barger being in your house, correct?
That's what he was claiming to be, but I never seen it as an actual financial benefit. I just didn't know what else to do at that point, the way he had everything taken over.
Mr. Morrison asked you about the shooting of Charles Scammell, and you said that you always had your finger outside of the trigger guard. Remember that?
Yes,
If your finger was outside of the trigger guard, that means that you would have had to remove it from outside the finger guard. Put your hand on the trigger and pull it, correct?
that's what you think, yes.
Obviously, you did shoot Charles Scammell, right?
I didn't take my finger and put it inside the trigger guard, though, no.
What happened?
I don't know the gun went off, but I did not move my finger from outside that trigger guard.
Sure.
It was an
You
old
you
piece
do
of-
realize that's impossible, right?
No, not necessarily. It was an old piece of crap gun that the deputies, I believe, did some tests on it with I don't know, it's an instrument that's used to test trigger pull. And I was told that it was under 1 pound of pressure is what was caused, so I don't know if it was just rusty, old, deteriorated, hadn't been shot in years, I don't know.
Maybe breezy, gust of air or something?
No, I don't think
Right,
so.
it required some trigger pull,
I
right,
don't know.
testing?
The old gun went. If it was an automatic, it was not a pump. So I don't know if it's from the bolt slam or whatever when it went shut, but it discharged without me pulling the trigger, and I think I even had the safe on.
So your testimony, and I'll leave it at this, but that you had the safety on,
I
you
believe.
never depressed the trigger, and the gun just went off.
Yes,
And that happened, coincidentally, right after Charles Scammell was ordered to sit down and refused to do so.
that's when it happened, yes.
And when he asked you, why'd you shoot me? You said, because you wouldn't sit down.
I couldn't think of anything else to say.
You gave him a reason as to why you shot him.
Like I said, I couldn't think of anything else to say.
How about, I'm sorry, the gun just went off? How about that?
I was in shock that it happened. I didn't.
He asked you for a towel and you refused to give it to him.
I didn't.
He didn't ask you for a towel?
He didn't ask me directly, no.
Did he ask for a towel?
He did, but
You're the guy who shot him. Did you go get him one?
no,
Why?
because I was furthest away from the kitchen.
What'd you do instead of giving him a towel? You asked him questions, didn't you?
Lonnie kept asking questions, yes.
You didn't ask questions.
I don't remember exactly who asked what, but I maybe had a couple in there, yes.
You heard the testimony. You said the least of your worries is your hand. Couldn't think of anything else to say other than that, too, right?
No, I didn't know what to think of.
Seems sensible. As you're treating Charles Scammell this way, letting him bleed out for 15, 20 minutes on the ground, denying him a towel, telling him that his hand is the least of his worries. Billy Barger, the bane of your existence, where is he?
Sitting in my house.
He wasn't even present when you're treating Charles Scammell this way, right?
No,
At that moment, he didn't present an imminent threat to you or anybody.
not at the moment, though. My son was there
Your son was where?
at the house.
You were the person that went through his checkbook?
Yes,
You were in charge of the mission at that point?
supposedly,
And you were in charge of the first kidnapping attempt of Jeff Muller, right?
yes.
Played a pretty significant role in this whole thing. Would you agree with that?
That's what I was told to do.
You were the guy who was bringing Jeff Muller back to his death, right? Driving him halfway across the country back to his death?
No, not back to his death.
Not back to his death. Well, let's talk about that. Go to page 60 of your June 28th, 2010 statement. You admitted that if Jeff Muller had made it back to your house, he was almost certainly dead, right?
Yeah.
That's your testimony here today, too, right?
Yes.
You realize Jeff Muller was dead. There was no way he would survive that if you got back to Billy's house.
I was not gonna take him back.
We'll talk about that in a minute as well. But I just want to make that clear that you realize Jeff Muller was dead.
If you got Billy Barker's hands, yes.
Do you remember telling Detective Muller, when asked if you yourself would have killed Jeff Muller, and you said you weren't sure? You didn't know?
No, I never said anything like that.
You didn't?
No, I never would have killed him.
Read through pages 59, 60, and 61. Same statement.
Of the 28th one,
Yes. Top of page 60. What would you have done if you got a text message from Barger saying kill Muller? What would you have done? You see that?
and I don't know.
That was your response, I don't know. You said you didn't know if you would kill him.
Yeah, I said I don't know.
Right. Was that true?
I don't know.
Do you know now? You
Because-
testified this morning that there was no way you could kill him. If Billy
And
asked you
I
to.
wouldn't kill him.
I thought you didn't know.
Like I said here, I answered I don't know, because you're not going into the rest of the conversation of what we were on.
What am I missing?
Because right before that, I mean, if you back up a couple lines
Sure.
on what I was worried about, or my son, we were worried about it, what would you have done? Okay, I said, I don't know, or if it's your son, well, or it's you guys,
Right.
I don't know.
And then what was the specific question? What would you have done if you got a text message from Barger saying kill Muller? What would you have done?
You're taking that out of the middle and not taking the rest of what the conversation was at the time. You're just picking one little thing out of the middle. Because I just answered, I don't know, because you already had it in there, or it's your son.
Well, that's a whole premise of what we've been talking about all day, right? That your son and your dad couldn't have possibly survived this unless you committed these horrible crimes. So it was their life on the line, according to you.
It is.
And your answer is, I don't know what I would have done.
Yes,
But yet
that's
you
what
still, you testify that you're trying to let him go. How do you square those two things?
because earlier, we were talking about letting him go. And then he asked this hypothetical question on what would I have done if I would have got this text message, and I said, I don't know. Which is exactly it, I don't know what
Right.
I would have done, I don't know. But all I know for sure is I wouldn't have hurt him.
You would just bring him back to his death.
I was not going to take him back to my house or to deliver him to Bailey Park.
Where were you gonna bring him again?
We're already past Pennsylvania, so just somewhere along the line, I don't know what I would have done.
Just to clarify a couple things. The first kidnapping attempt, just so we're clear, your purpose was to kidnap Jeff Muller, the first time kidnapping, right?
Yes.
And when was that?
In December of 2009.
And you were in charge of that, right? You said that you went to the victim's home?
Drove by it.
You were the person communicating with Billy Barger during that trip?
We both were.
The second trip out to New Jersey, to Newton in January, you not only participated in that, you financed it, correct?
Yes, I had to. Because I had failed so bad on the first trip.
Is it your testimony that you were trying to assist Andrew Wadle and Lonnie Sworns in apprehending Jeff Mueller, but you just got yourself tangled up and weren't able to do that?
No. I wasn't in any hurry to get around that car anyway.
Why did you bother to do that?
I had to get out to drive
Okay.
because that was the ultimate plan at that point.
Was that you were going to drive?
Yes. So I had to get over there to the other side.
Did you tell the police that you simply couldn't get out of the car quickly enough?
Yeah, I said that I got tangled up and fell out of the car.
At what point did you realize you had the wrong guy?
Just shortly after we left it. I don't know exactly how far, if it was an hour and a half, if it was 45 minutes, I don't remember exactly. Or where we were at, which town, I don't remember.
The gun that was in the center console, that was your gun, you said, right?
Yes,
You did not have a permit to carry that in the state of New Jersey, correct?
not in New Jersey, no.
You didn't have one in Missouri either, did you?
The gun was registered to me.
I understand it was registered, you did not have a carry permit in any state whatsoever, did you?
I had, because I was told not to go to the sheriff's office, I had passed the course, the shooting and the instructional test to have a concealed and carry permit. But I did not have the actual endorsement from the sheriff yet.
You did not have a carry permit.
No,
That was your gun.
yes,
It was in the center console of your car, correct?
yes,
You had possession and control over that firearm during the entire kidnapping, correct?
yes.
You understood that if Jeff Mueller resisted, that force would be used against him, correct?
Yes,
You were aware there was a stun gun in the car, correct? That
yes,
Andrew Wadle may use that if Jeff Mueller resisted, correct? Yes?
yes,
You, Lonnie, and Andrew were all in this together. I mean, regardless of who had what role, you were all equally in this, correct?
we were there.
Was it your testimony this morning that you let the victim go? So you leaned back, Jeff Mueller's in the back seat, and you said, "Hey Jeff, I'm sorry. I'm letting you go. Take off. I won't chase you. I won't follow you." Right? You
I
said
couldn't
that.
say that.
You couldn't say that.
No.
Why not?
Or did I?
Why couldn't you say that?
What would he say to somebody else that could cause, I couldn't say that.
If you couldn't even say that to him, how is it that you were going to let him go? How is it that you were going to bring him to the, what did you say, the sheriff or the chief or something, and what was it, the police or?
This is exactly how I let him go there at Rick's store. I acted like I was asleep, he was on his own.
How are you going to do that with Lonnie and Andrew in the car in Pennsylvania?
I was just gonna take off and go. That's the only thing I could think of to possibly do.
All right, so with Lonnie and Andrew in the car,
Yes.
you were going to bring him to a police department, and you didn't care.
I thought at some point they would be out of the car, talking to whoever came up and then take off. Maybe get away from them, maybe not. I didn't know.
So it may or may not work out for you.
I didn't know what was gonna happen, but I wasn't gonna let that man get turned over to the other ones that might be an accomplice or whatever like that.
Why not simply let the guy know? You're letting him go. Hey, don't tell the other guys. Just, I'm letting you go. You don't have to worry about it.
But I had no idea what to do. I just felt like there was no escape from anything, so I was just trying to let him go myself.
One way to let him go is to let him know you're letting him go. Would you agree with that?
I didn't want to say that.
I mean, you are just hoping, I guess, that Jeff Mueller has the courage, after everything he's been through, after you've had this guy tied up in the backseat of a car for 24 hours, halfway across the country, freezing cold, threatening his family, threatening everything, that this guy would have the courage to get out of that car. You just assume that?
I figured,
You didn't have the courage to warn your own kid.
I guess
heard a lot of that today, right? You didn't know what to do. Now, according to you, your decision to let him go occurs after your car is broken down, right?
Yes.
It's freezing outside. You can't get the car started. Daylight is coming. Rick's Tea Store is getting busier. This is when you decide to let him go?
Barger's getting closer.
Barger's getting closer. The guy who, by your own admission, never lifts a finger to do anything himself. The guy who can't even get up and down a flight of steps. Did you really think he was coming?
Yes.
You did?
Yes.
Then why the story? Why the story about him being a mental patient going to El Dorado? Why are you trying to save the
I
situation?
didn't know what Lonnie was capable of doing. I didn't know if Lonnie was still, if he would shoot me or if he would.
See,
I
answer
didn't
your
know what to
prayers.
do.
The police are on the way.
I didn't know what to
If
do.
you don't come up with a story, the police will be there in minutes. But you're still trying to save the situation.
I didn't know what to do. I didn't want to say right out in front of Lonnie that's what was going on.
But Lonnie's not, he's in the store, right? Why not tell him to let him go?
I didn't know what to do.
Help did not get arrived, right?
No. So I rerouted it further down the road. On past where we even were.
Who deleted that text message?
I have no idea. I thought they existed at one point, but I don't know where they went.
But as you testified in direct, either you or the other individuals had deleted it.
Yes.
Why would you delete that evidence?
I don't know. I thought it was there. Because those were late enough ones that I really thought they were there. I don't know what happened to them.
Sir, to the extent you did anything, you gave up. Isn't that true? Wouldn't you agree with me at that moment when you supposedly finally decided to let him go? Your cause was hopeless. You were done. You couldn't get the car started. People had already seen him in the back of the car. You're probably on video.
But
Your car's not going anywhere. Even if you happen to get Jeff Mueller out of there, your car's still stuck there. It's registered to you. It's coming back to you.
Right.
You're caught. You didn't let anybody go. You got caught.
If Billy Barger would have pulled up with his car, and what the plan was, is Lonnie and him go, Mr. Mueller would go back with him, and Andy and I were supposed to wait with the car for the tow truck, or for somebody else that was coming, another relative of Lonnie's, been loaded up and out of there. It wasn't like it was the end of the road. I just absolutely did not want that man getting in Billy Barger's hands.
Would have helped if you didn't drive him to within an hour and a half of the residence, wouldn't it?
I didn't know what to do. Because I thought we were being followed.
The truth is, regardless of what you say here today, the only reason he didn't get there, the only real reason, the only tangible reason, the only reason that anybody can possibly see is because the car broke down. Nothing you did, but because the car broke down. Detective Mueller asked you, why did you keep coming back after you realized you had the wrong guy? Now, one response to that would have been, I was going to let him know in the voice, or, I don't know. I don't know, what did you say, you remember?
I don't know.
Go to page 28, January 14, 2010 transcript. What did you tell them that you slew as to why you kept driving back?
Page 28.
Yes. Did you say to them, what the hell else are you supposed to do? We've seen our cases.
Page 28 on the 14th.
Yes, sir. Actually, this is even clearer. Let's go to page 33. This is even better. You give more detail as to why you had to bring Billy Barker, Jeff Muller back to Billy Barker. And just about at the bottom of that page, you tell Deputy Sloop that, what else were we going to do? Billy Barger never would have believed us that we had the wrong guy unless we produced the body of Jeff Muller. We had to produce Jeff Muller because Billy Barger never would have believed that we had the wrong guy, he didn't have any money, unless we actually brought him to him.
Okay, mine doesn't say that.
What does yours say? So, Lonnie and I talked. You see that?
Okay, so Lonnie and I talked, we were like, we're just afraid of how he's gonna be with the wrong guy, and just repeat of what happened it was at Scrambles. There's not gonna be any money, what are we gonna do with, there is no money. You know, like, this is the wrong person. You know, who's gonna believe us? Who's gonna know, this and that, and, well, that now, so neither of us thought that there was ever gonna be any money. It was to protect the family, you know, my dad and my son.
Right.
Okay, but nothing about like what you were saying, if you read out of that one.
What do you read that to me? He had asked you why.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know where you're coming up with that other stuff, because it's not in the writing here. It's not in the transcript. I never said what you said.
Okay, what's the context of that? What does that mean to you? You're explaining why you were bringing Jeff Muller back, right?
Not in particular, is explaining on how would you explain it to somebody like Billy Barger?
Right. Unless you actually produced Jeff Muller. You were being asked why you would keep going after you had the wrong guy. Because nobody would believe it unless you actually produced him.
We were being followed is what we were told, but I don't know where, what you're really, I was trying to explain to him, how do you explain something to Billy Barger in that? I don't understand where you're coming up with, you know, those other statements you made that you said I said.
Mr. Morrison asked you if you recall the testimony of Fred Marsh about you yourself
Yes,
bringing Jeff Muller back to the car at C store, right? And you said you disagreed with him.
yes,
But it wasn't just Fred Marsh, was it? Andrew Williams said that as well, correct?
yeah, for some reason he did.
And so did Jeff Muller, didn't he? 3 people said that.
Well, but you can plainly see on the video that I did not do that.
You can plainly see on the video you walking back to the car at a time when Jeff Muller would have been put back in the car. You can plainly see you walking to the vehicle, can't you?
If you play 2 cameras at once to show the store and the outside, I went around that white SUV, went into the store and told them that about he was going to the mental hospital in El Dorado at the time they were bringing him across. I didn't go over right away and intercept them.
So Fred Marsh
I
was
went to the
wrong.
store first and then went over by the car. I never went over as they were coming across the parking lot.
Fred Marsh is wrong, Wadel's wrong, and the victim's wrong.
The video showed it,
The video showed you walking to where the car would have been.
toward the front of the vehicle. Yes, toward the car, yes.
Yes, exactly.
But I
The
didn't.
video
I
actually
didn't go to
corroborates what you
Mr. Muller as
testified.
he was coming across the parking lot at that time.
What's that?
I didn't go to Mr. Muller as he was coming across the parking lot at that time.
But you did help load him back into the car.
No. I did not help load him into the car.
That's what I was talking about. That was the testimony of Fred Marsh.
After I went inside, I came back over and that's when I stood kind of in their way and I got knocked on the ground. But I never put my hands on him and shoved him back in my car, no.
Mr. Morrison asked you this question. I'm going to ask you the same question. If you could go back, forget what you know now. I want you to put yourself back in time, okay? To 2009, early 2010. With the same knowledge that you had back then. Would you do this again?
Knowing what I know today or
No. Put yourself back in time.
I
Would you
still
do it
I still
again?
don't know what I do. I just try to protect my son and my dad,
You don't know what you did?
or what I would do.
You don't know what you would do.
I don't know what I would do.
Do you think that what you did, and again, go back to the knowledge that you had back then, I'm not talking about what you know today. Were you wrong?
At the time, I was just trying to protect my family.
Were you wrong?
I don't know. I don't know.
So you don't know, sir. If you would shoot Charles Scammell again, you don't know if you would break into his house, you don't know if you would kill his dogs, cut his photo lines, tie his him, his wife up, kidnap this man, drag him across the country. You don't know if you'd do that again? You might do all that again?
With the circumstances the way they were, and the threat I felt at the time, I don't know. I don't know exactly if I'd take the same exact steps or if I would change some of them. I don't know.
Still today, you still don't know whether it's wrong or not, correct?
Like
You're still having trouble with that, trying to figure out whether that was wrong.
like I just said, under the circumstances that were going on at that time, I don't know what I'd do if it happened again.
That's all I have.
Mr. Morris?
That'll be a while, Judge. Okay.
Well, then in that case, I think what I'll do is excuse the jury. I know one of you has an evening appointment that it would be facilitated if you got out by 4, so we will do that. So I'm going to excuse you, ladies and gentlemen, for the weekend. We'll need to resume next Tuesday at 9 o'clock. I believe we will finish the testimony on Tuesday, and thereafter, after summation to jury charge, you will have the case for deliberation. In the meantime, of course, there'll be coverage of the case in the newspaper. Please don't read any newspapers, listen to any news accounts, let anybody discuss the case with you. We're near the end of all the evidence in the testimony.